Welcome back to LarryB YouTube channel. In today's class, we're going to learn how to make this beautiful Princess Dart Bustier dress with reverse plunge yoke. So you can see that it has like a plunging neckline yoke, but it is in reverse order, and this is the Princess Dart line as well. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. This is something you like to learn. Kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So this has a Princess Dart Bustier cut. So I have marked my lines. This is my armhole line, this is the bust point, the under bust, and this is my waistline. So we have several Princess Dart pattern on the channel already, so I'm just going to run through this quickly so that it's not going to be so long. So from the center front here, I'm going to mark my bust span measurement, which is 4 inches. I took that measurement on the bust point, on the under bust, and on the waistline as well. So I'll just make it into a straight line. And like I said, it's an armhole Princess Dart bustier. So here on my armhole area, I'm going to come down by around 5 inches, which is here. So now for my bustier dart, I'm going to mark 2 inches from this line on the waistline. I'll do the same thing on the under bust, and then I'm going to make that into a straight line as well. So with my curved ruler, I'll come down by ½ an inch from the bust point on this line, and then I'm going to go ahead and connect from here, just like this. You can see what I have. So the next thing now is to use my curved ruler again to connect from here to my new point on my armhole, and then you make sure that whatever you're doing blends well with what you have coming from your curve, just like this. You don't want it to be sharp at any point. So the next thing to do now is to take darts on the two sides of this. So I'm going to take like ½ an inch darts on both sides so that I'll have 1 inch. And then with my curved ruler again, I'm going to try to connect this to somewhere here. So like I said, I have the detailed tutorial on this already in the channel, so kindly check that out if you want a more detailed tutorial. So on the other side as well, I'm going to connect like this, and then if you notice, make sure that everything blends well. Like I said, smoothing them all out. So here, if you notice, I extended this second line because of the darts you took here is going to have a shortage. So the 1 inch shortage that I have here, I'm going to mark it here and then redraw my armhole line. So now it is that simple. The next thing now is to draw out the pattern that we want, but before then, I'm going to mark my circumference measurement. My bust point is 10. My bust is 10 inches. So here I have about 4½ inches, and then I'm going to continue the measurement. And my 10 inches is going to be here. I already marked my 10 inches to be here, but I have this shortage because of this small dart that I'm going to be taking here. So from there, I'm going to add 1 inch for my seam allowance. And then here on the waistline, the waist is 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So I have 4 inches here. I'm just going to skip the dart so that I don't have any shortage, and then I'm going to mark my 7½, and then here I'm going to add my 1 inch seam allowance. So now I have connected my side seam together. So the next thing we need to do now is to create that design that we have, okay, to get the part that is going to be plain. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to determine where the depth that I want the plain to start. Remember, this is our actual neckline. I use 3 by 3 inches for mine. You can use whatever you want. So now from here, I'll determine the depth that my plain fabric is going to be. So the actual is 3 inches, so I can add between 3 to 4 inches to that as well. So I think I'm going to make it 3½. So the total depth for my plain is going to be 3½ inches from my actual neckline. So there are several ways you can do this. You can actually connect this to your under bust without cutting. just like this. You just place like this. Remember, the plain goes all the way to the underbust. So here from this center line here, I'm just going to connect to my underbust, and then on the other side as well, you're going to extend it. So basically what I'm doing is, from the depth that I want the plain fabric to start, I simply place my curved ruler like this and then connect just like this to the first dart leg of my pattern. So now to the second leg, I'm going to move to the underbust area. I want it to land, to stop at around 1 inch below my underbust on the side seam. So which means from this underbust, remember you're going to sew them together, so they have to be on the same point. So from this underbust now, I'm just going to find a way to connect from there to the 1 inch. You can also stop on your underbust. I just want mine to be 1 inch below the underbust on the side. So I'm just going to connect like this. I hope you understand. If you don't understand it, I'm still going to glue them together so that it's going to give them some form of understanding. So what I'm doing now is just to cut out the pattern so that we'll have something smaller to work with, and they'll understand what I'm doing better. So now I'm going to try to cut the pattern out first. So by the time I glue it together, we'll get the lines that I drew better. So this is the center front, and the next thing is to cut out here. I'm cutting out just the dart area now. So I'm cutting the second dart area. I'll cut the armhole, and when you are cutting as well, make sure that it is not sharp. And then from here, I'm going to cut this as well. You can see now that I have removed the dart, and you make sure that you have a very nice curve. So this is what I have now. So this is my actual dart. So you're going to sew this together, and this upper part is going to be plain while this lower part is going to be Ankara. So like I said, for the pattern that we have there, you can draw it just like I drew mine while your patterns are still separate, or you can try to glue the paper together before you draw out this pattern. It's still the same thing, but this is just going to make it more obvious what we're trying to do, and it may be a bit difficult because this is a paper, so you don't want to rip your paper apart in the process of sewing. So what I'm doing now is just as if I'm sewing it. So you can see after joining it together, you will see that. So I'm trying to glue them together so that we can see the lines that I drew, but my masking tape does not have enough glue, does not have enough gum, so it's coming apart. But basically you can see I'm just imitating sewing like I have sewn them together, and you can see the line that we drew, that it just rhymes perfectly. So that is how I want it to go. So this upper part is going to be my plain fabric, and then this lower part is going to be for my Ankara fabric. Starting from here, all of this is going to be Ankara, while this is going to be plain fabric. So now I'm going to detach the sellotape, okay, and then I'll go ahead and cut them out. So I have labeled mine. You can see this upper part is going to be plain while this lower part is going to be Ankara fabric. So you just simply cut it out. This side is going to be cut on your plain fabric, this, and this is going to be Ankara. So for the other side as well, this upper part is going to be cut on the plain fabric while this is going to be Ankara. So here I'm just going to glue this Ankara part together so that I'm not going to have any dart. So I simply close my darts by placing them together like this, and then they become one piece. You can also cut it separately if that is what you want, but I prefer to have them as one piece. And you can see that they match here because of the way we cut it. So you make sure that when you're connecting the other side, you start from where you stopped on your front, on the first side, which is my underbust in my case. That's why they are able to meet up correctly like this. So this is going to be cut on my Ankara, and then I'll go ahead and cut this part on my plain fabric. So when you're cutting it, make sure that this part is on fold, okay, this center part, make sure you cut it on fold. I'll go ahead and cut it now and bring it back to show us. I've gone ahead to cut it on my fabric. I cut the plain part with a plain crepe fabric, okay. And then I added allowances on that part where I'm going to join. Remember, we are going to be joining this to the Ankara as well, so I added allowance for that as well. And this is my Ankara. I added allowance on this upper part of the Ankara, and you make sure that you cut this part on fold as well. It is important. So now you go ahead and cut your lining this same way, and then if you're going to be fixing padding to this, you make sure that you cut your, I have a tutorial now you can cut your padding already on the channel, so but you can use a brack up so that it can be easier for you. Just fix a brack up when you're done sewing it. So now to sew this, I'm going to detach the pins, and then I'm going to treat them separately. So I'll treat the plain fabric separately, and then the lining are going to be separate as well. So what I'm going to do now is to open this up. Then after opening it up, I'll go ahead and join the bustier part separately for the two sides. Then after joining the bustier, I'll bring it back, and then I'm going to sew the Ankara to the upper part. So this is like the yoke now. So after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and sew my Ankara. So the Ankara is going to come inwards like this. I'm going to sew it to the upper part. So that's how I'm going to sew it. I'll sew this first and then sew this. So for the lining, you cut the same way and then sew as well. So the back is just a regular Princess Dart back. Like I said, there's a tutorial on that on the channel already, so I don't want this video to be so long. So I'll go ahead and sew this now and bring it back to show us. So I forgot to mention that you need to notch where your underbust is. Remember, that's where you're going to start sewing to the center front. So I have notched mine, so you make sure you notch that on your pattern before you detach it. So now the bustier is joined together, you can see. So you just open your seams and iron it well so that it can relax well. So this is what I have now. So you can fix a ready-made cup like I said, and if you want to work with your wording, you just cut it the same way we cut out our wording. So now I'm going to join the Ankara part to the yoke. So you can pin it first. I'm just going to flip it like this. I'll start from the center point. I'll sew from this side first and then sew the other side as well. So I've gone ahead to join it together, you can see, and this is what it looks like on the inside. So on this center point, make sure you notch it and reduce the seam allowance there so that it can lie really flat like this. You don't want anything to be packing. So after doing that now, I'll go ahead and open this seam allowance as well and iron it flat. Then you can just go ahead and turn with your lining. So now I'm going to sew the back to it, and then you join the skirt part to it as well, and then I'll take it to the mannequin so that we can see what it looks like. So this is how it looks like on the mannequin. You can see the depth of the plunge there, so you just notch it and iron well so that it can relax for you, and you can see our Princess Dart line on that part as well. So it's a very simple tutorial, as you have seen. You just fix each flip of your choice and your dress is done. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.